Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. Jordan and Keith keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know.
Jordan and Keith.
From pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further, because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Keith.
This is Mariano.
And you are listening to Golden State Media Concepts Music Review Podcast. And today we have some great music for you. Of course, we have the new hip-hop album from group Ugly Heroes. It's called Everything in Between. And we got a new techno album from a group called Zoo or ZHU. I believe it's Zoo or Who. And their album is called Generationwhy. So we're going to get to it in 1 second. You got to check it out. All right.
I jump into Generationwhy.
Please do. Please do.
It's the debut studio album. Zoo, he's Chinese American. He's a producer, and he collabed with Columbia Records on this one. You remember Columbia when they did J. Cole's first 2 or 3 albums?
Right.
So they know what they're doing in terms of choosing artists. This came by after the success because Zoo had an EP where he collaborated with Genesis, and it actually got some pretty good reviews. So they decided to go ahead with an album.
Wow.
I guess you would kind of call this. It's right around 59 minutes, by the way. You would kind of call this psychedelic, synth pop / transy kind of music.
Okay. All right. So techno, it's not. Okay.
Techno's a little harder with the bass. Transy is a little more kind of free-flowing feeling that you get when you listen to it, if that makes any sense.
Right. I always wonder what the difference was with that when they would say trance music. I'm like, is it supposed to put me in a trance? What's it supposed to do? But go ahead.
Yeah. That's the difference. Techno is more is hard boom boom kind of bass. Trance is a little more just make you think, you know?
Uh-huh.
Especially when you have help. But this album, for what it was, I actually kind of liked it. And I know a friend of mine who's a bigger trance. I'm actually pretty good into trance. I like it. But there's people who I know that are way more into it than I am.
Okay.
And they heard me listening, and they were like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is the new album." They were like, "Damn, I need to download that. It was really good." It works for me. I like it. I like this album.
I like it too. I think it's really cool. Very harmonious. It's even the second track, Cold Blooded, just totally got my attention.
With James Young.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I actually wanted to hear more from James Young on this record. My only problem with this album was there seemed to be 2 or 3 different vocalists, but one vocalist has a really high-pitched voice, and it works to an extent, but after a while, it starts to kind of grate on me, and I felt like I wanted that voice to get blended with James Young's voice or someone else's voice. And sometimes I would hear that in some of the choruses throughout the record. But I love the production of this album. I like the album. It's a fun record. It's different. But yeah, that would be my only complaint, was that I felt like the one main vocalist that they chose sometimes needed to blend their vocal with someone else because of the pitch of their vocal, the tone.
I totally get what you're saying because of where we're coming from on this, but when I think of it in terms of the kind of demographic that this was shooting for, I think that all the things that were done well were done very well, and I think that this album, for someone who loves trance and is into the whole kind of party scene and having fun with different things,
right? I
can totally see them. I can see this album because trance music has a long shelf life to me. It seems like I've heard of music, from 2001 that still people play, and nobody gets embarrassed of it. They don't have the NSYNC effect where it's big until it's not. Trance music, if it's good for a while. And I have a feeling that this one will be seen as a good album for years to come.
Okay, so if this is considered a trance record, then I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's great. The production was amazing. It had me, it had me bouncing my head and moving. It was a pleasant surprise listening to this record. So why do you think they call this album Generationwhy? And it's spelled out WHY, because there was Generation X, then there's Generation Y with that letter, that consonant, and then there's the millennials. So what's your take on the name of this record?
I think that he put Generation Y and spelled out Y, just to kind of show, like how weird and crazy kind of we're getting.
Okay.
In
Is it
terms
asking
of
a
everything that's been
question?
going
Is
on,
it?
because this was recorded in like 2015, so it's not that old like of a recording either. Um, yeah, I think that they're just trying to make that statement because the thing about people who listen to trance and people who make trance music, they tend to be about, the ones that I've spent time with, which is a few, like they tend to be about, oh man, like these things are so messed up, but wouldn't it be nice if, like we all just got along, and I think that's kind of what he was shooting for. It was almost not ironic, but almost like Man in the Mirror type title, where it's meant for us to look at each other and be like, why is it called Generation Y? Oh, probably because we've been acting so crazy.
Understood. Okay. And then, like I said, so my favorite track is definitely Cold Blooded. I wanted to read some of those lyrics. Such a cold-blooded love, I'm afraid of your touch. Such a cold-blooded love, but I love it too much. You had me on your list, the target of your mission. All these times you would be missing me. Is really guilt a mission? Baby, the game we're playing is addictive, and you know I'll risk it all to win it. 'Cause I know you better than you think I do. I mean, yeah, it's just really cool. Like, it has a nice groove to it when you're driving or just listening to it at home. I mean, this is definitely, to me, cruising music. What did you think, Mariano?
I kind of agree. I actually found it to be a little more like Target commercially music. Like when the iPod first came out, I could totally see some of these songs fitting that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be pleasantly surprised to hear this record on the radio.
Because it had like a fun kind of bouncy sound. Yeah, maybe not on the radio because in and of itself, it's not all there in terms of what people expect out of artists, like from the message to the lyrics to, but it's a great kind of additive, which is what trance music is supposed to be. It's just supposed to kind of supplement the overall feeling of an event of whatever they're doing at the time.
Okay, all right.
That's why lyrics tend to take a back seat in like trance and in more like hardcore, straight techno type music. It's all about the rhythm and the sound.
This is true, but this was interesting though. Like, for example, Electrify Me. I like that one too. Yes. Oh, I can't wait till I see you. Too. Yeah, I think I want you. I'm going to put your hands up, touch your body. Love it when I electrify you. I'm going to put your hands up, touch your body. Love it when I electrify you. Electrify me, electrify me. And then that's the chorus. But I also can envision people just dancing when they're saying this. It's interesting. Interesting lyrics to me. You there, Mariano?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is it's about the feeling that it gives you.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. I agree a lot. And then, so that song, and then Numb, that's another song that I like too. So, I mean, yeah. So how would you rate this record, Mariano?
For what it is, I would rank this like an 8.5.
Really?
Yeah, I think that there's not that much trance music out there that's necessarily all that good. But I think that this is going to be. I think that if Zoo keeps this up, he's going to be seen pretty soon as kind of a bigger name in the trance world.
Okay. I think you're right. I like this album, but like I said earlier, my only complaint was that I don't know if it's Zoo who's doing the singing with the high pitched voice, or if it's someone else. But I felt like they need to be blended with somebody else when they're singing, because their voice is so distinct. At a point, it kind of distracts me a little bit, but otherwise, I enjoyed this album. I give it a 7.5, 7.5.
But trance music though is they make endless like remixes of it for like Generation.Why and all these other events and Adventureland. So like they could make some different kind of spins on these songs, and I have a feeling some of them at least you'd really like.
Well, yeah, I definitely want to hear a remix of this. So yeah, because I mean I like this version of it already. So right. It's just it felt like a different type of record. It really did. And like I said, I like James Young's voice a lot. And that's James with a Y, Jaymes. So, and then like Hometown Girl, that was interesting. You'll never be my hometown girl. There's nothing like her in this world. I'm tired of the get around girls. Ain't nothing like my hometown girl. Thought that was really cute and interesting. You told me you were cool with kicking it in my crib, in my pool. We be dipping it. But some days you would look at me so different. Ooh, why? Is it because I'm in the music biz? Or do you want to love me when I'm just struggling? but you still tell me that you're my hometown chick. Why? So, and then I'm missing someone else. This will never be the same, but I blame it on myself because I can't make you change. So, yeah, I mean, this is an interesting record. I like it. I like it lyrically speaking. It's not what I expected, but it was a pleasant surprise in that regard. And Generationwhy, I mean, it's interesting. That term still intrigues me. I mean, the title of this record, it really does. I'm just like, are you saying this is their? Are they picking up the mantle from Generation X in regards to electronic music? Because I felt like this was funky in all the right places for me.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Even the album art was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So, but we have to take a break, and when we get back, we'll talk about Ugly Heroes, everything in between. So stay tuned.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hey, we are back. I'm Keith.
Mariano.
And this is Golden State Media Concepts Music Review Podcast. And we were just talking about that album from Zoo called Generationwhy, WHY. Great trance album, turns out. Really good stuff. And now we're about to talk about Ugly Heroes. Yep, that's the name of the group, hip-hop group. Their album's called Everything in Between. And Mariano, can you tell us who was in the group?
Yeah, they really are ugly. It's
Stop it.
Yeah. And the group is Apollo Brown. He's the producer, and then there's the two lyricists who are insane.
Yeah.
Verbal Kent and Red Pill, and these guys. So okay, all three of them together make up Ugly Heroes. This album was so good. This is probably one of my favorites that we've heard all year. This is probably one of my favorite rap albums I've ever heard. It's just so jam packed with like everything from. Not necessarily like good, because I hate like unrealistically overly good messages. I think of like those cheesy commercials of eat this pizza and your whole life will get better. I like
Yeah.
real messages. You know, I like kind of nitty gritty. Like, you know what? Maybe things aren't perfect. Maybe things are messed up, but nobody talks about that fact.
Right.
And these guys, but they do it while not at all sacrificing kind of the musical beat of it. I love the old school sound. You know, the boom, pop, boom of the beats of the the drums, and they're verbally and lyrically just gifted. These guys are straight gifted.
I agree. So two of the members are from Michigan and one is from Chicago, and it's an amazing record. They've
never been rappers before, so I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm just like, yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. I like this album a lot too. It's lyrical and it's musical all at once. It's a perfect blend, and I've been waiting for something out of Detroit this year to be just give me that perfection lyrically and musically speaking. And I got it with Ugly Heroes. So I really did. I mean, and then definitely got to talk about some songs. Like the first one, Today, Right Now. I mean, here it goes. I mean, have you ever figured out what you will be like in a few years? Why don't you look ahead? Don't preach at me or plan of looking ahead as if you can tell me, or as if you can tell what you'll be like in a few years. And then Red Pill comes in. I don't know what I'm for. I don't know what the point is. Spent so many nights alone sipping this poison. All of us trying to find it. Some of us call it purpose. Don't know if it's divine or can we even define it. Am I playing a role in somebody else's theater? Look around at this world and nothing's been getting clearer. Only been getting weirder. I just sit in Detroit, little blip on the radar. Maybe there's not a point. Maybe it's all coincidence. Trying to make a little sense out of something that doesn't. Maybe there's no significance. We're just rational cattle. End of discussion. And as lonely as that could sound, when you look up at the stars, that black background, you wonder where you came from and why you stay. Maybe there's not a reason, and that's okay. And then Verbal Kent says, the hook, no one's ever promised tomorrow. I'm going to be who I am, and you are who you are. Let's let the past be that. The crap is over, why react? No one's ever promised tomorrow. Let's do today right now. Maybe the secret to life is that you're not the main character. And the fact that you're even a factor is a miracle. I mean, that's just the first track.
I was looking at that same track, but a little deeper in, where it says, I'd see death, some say it's a sign. I think the strength that others gave me is the way I survived. You know, this thing is just so full. It's almost as if it's like an Eminem song as a whole album, where every little line of every song is just full. You know, there's just so much in it.
I agree, and I think he will probably be pleased. Mr. Marshall Mathers will be pleased to hear that.
Yeah, I think so too.
This album goes. This is what I've been looking for this year. That's something that's lyrical. You know, it still has great music. Has a great boom bap, great jazz, great hip hop flow. Apollo Brown, he goes. He's a great producer. So, and then it just. I mean, there's other tracks too that I want to talk about, like This World. That one got me. What do you think of that one?
I like it too.
Huh? Yeah. What is this world coming to? And then he says, I leave rappers more afraid than two races, surrounded by 22 Ving Rames, each with 22s and two big razors, trapped inside of two big cages. You know, with the moat around the outside with sharks that shoot lasers. I feel a war coming, so pass the war drum. You know, it's just interesting stuff. I mean, and throughout the song, he's like, what's this world coming to? You know, and it's just, I like it. I like it a lot. So what do you give this album for your rating?
I give this album an absolute, if there could be a such thing as an 11, and if we were allowed to give just one 11 out of the whole year, then I'd probably give it to this album.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I mean,
Sorry, I'm looking at the same song that you were just looking at right now, This World.
Yes.
Man, I like the little message that he throws in there, you know. He says, whether it's your cousin, your brother, or your husband, if you're not screaming F the police, then you're suffering. For every fake cop who midnights on his KKK watch, trust that I pray they drop. It's just full of so many different... There's just such... This isn't one of those albums that's just like a kind of a play-by-numbers album where, you know, they talk about topics that they know are going to be popular. And, you know, this album really goes into things. I found myself... This was almost like... just as much as it was a really good rap album, you know, with good music and good lyricists in terms of good, flow and tempo.
Uh-huh.
Was also almost like a really good discussion that I was just listening to and kind of saying oh, okay, you know, at the same time. So this was just, it was just so packed full of, you know.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, in this song in particular, This World, it's supposed to be a commentary about, you know, the election in America, race relations, police brutality, you know, issues and socioeconomic problems. I mean, so that, you know, they're talking about that and targeting that in this track. So, I mean, there's just so much more. And I like what you said about your rating. I definitely give this a 10. I mean, or you could say an 11 or a 12. This might wind up being my favorite. This has already become my favorite rap album of the year already at this point.
Music could be. It's insane.
Yeah, it was such a pleasant surprise. I mean, and when we picked this album to review, I liked the name. I'm like, okay, so let me dive into this. And the cover was so mysterious looking because you just see these silhouettes for everything in between. And then, you know, the question asked, you know, is this rap group, are these two MCs and DJ producer giving you everything in between lyrically, you know? And I think that someone like KRS-One would be proud because he would say in one of his songs, most rappers talk too much crap, can't back it up with lyrics, build your skills. These cats, you know, they built their skills. Yeah, Verbal Kent and Red Pill came with it, definitely on this. But yeah, I give it a 10 as well.
With these guys' lyrical ability, I think if they made another album and they had a couple features on it of Immortal Technique and like Andre 3000, that would be insane.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then when you listen to Peace of Mind, that really moved me too. Do you remember that? I mean, remember the lyrics from that one?
Peace of Mind.
So,
oh yeah, that's early in the album. Okay.
Oh yeah, the balance of emotions is important to a well-rounded personality, but emotions are out of control. Well, I've yet to feel what could be called peace of mind. And then Red Pill. And every single morning he wake up to an alarm, wake his kids to go to school and sip his coffee in his car. He had a 45-minute commute to get to work, hop in the truck, delivery route. He'd drive around with dreams of winning the lotto while his wife was sitting scheming about sipping the bottle. She complained and screamed, and they would fight most nights after he worked a long day keeping on those lights. He loved her, though. She loved liquor. Loyal to a fault, his kids wonder why he stuck with her. Thought if he kept the family together, something would change in her. Things would have to get better. Stood by her till death, when most wouldn't bother. And if you still haven't guessed, this man is my father.
Say when
he said that, huh?
Whoa.
Yeah, I was like, wow. And he taught me loyalty and love, so I respect that man. The reason I'm the man I am, I hope you find some peace of mind. I mean, how many rappers do you hear talk about their father in a positive way? And they talk about love and loyalty in a relationship and family. And do it where you're like, wow, that was cool.
Exactly. Just lyrically too, which is so good. That's a fan.
Yeah. So that's peace of mind. Huh?
Is already, it seems to be tricky in and of itself, but these guys, man, they wow.
I agree. But there's more to come in regards to Ugly Heroes and Zoo. We're going to do our wrap up after this break, so stick around, stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back. This is Keith, and that is Mariano. And you are listening to Golden State Media Concepts Music Review Podcast. Just finished talking about Ugly Heroes, great hip-hop artist. The album is called Everything in Between. And we also reviewed Zoo, ZHU, with Generationwhy, a great trance record. So, hey, I've enjoyed this podcast. Both these albums are great albums. I love them. This Ugly Heroes was a pleasant surprise. This hip-hop record knocked me off my feet. I mean, what do you think?
Banger. That whole album was so good.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great record. And it just kind of snuck up on you. You know what I mean? It's just, lyrically, they give you, lyrically and production-wise, lyrically and musically, Ugly Heroes give you everything in between. That's the real deal. Definitely. And Zoo's Generationwhy, well, he's repping for that generation. Definitely. Definitely.
For the Ugly Heroes.
What'd you say?
Kendrick Lamar. If Ugly Heroes were featured on a Kendrick CD, that'd be a good one too. Yeah,
that would be great exposure for them, and that might come because, this album, it goes definitely. It definitely goes. It's just, like I said, I like it a lot. I'm looking forward to. I want to see them in concert, so see if we can. If that happens, I would love to see them, and I'd love to interview them. Actually, get them on this podcast. That would be cool. So I'd like to talk to Zoo as well, like I said, because trance has always been something that used to elude me until now. So this record is, it was a lot of fun. It was very harmonic and soulful. It was real cool. What were you about to say, Mariano?
That one, Zoo, Zoo's album just had the thing about trance music. It just has the ability to make you kind of feel things, you know. So it's not so much about what's being said; it's just the feeling behind it. It's just the sound of everything. The music can really drive you, you know. I like that.
Right. And that's the whole point, you know, with electronic music, whether it's techno or house, you know, the beat's supposed to keep you moving, supposed to get you on the dance floor and to make you feel good. And what you said, the Generationwhy from Zoo does that.
Exactly, yeah. And it makes you feel good, but it also makes you almost like reminiscent. Like it puts you in a certain mood, and I liked it.
Okay. I hear you. And then in Ugly Heroes, it just, when I put that record on, I just want to listen. I just want to listen. You know, I almost want to stop what I'm doing and just sit there and listen because it's so captivating. I mean, and it's, they're telling great stories. It's a great narrative. What do you think?
Me too. I was trying to think of like things that I was doing today that I didn't have to do today, so I could listen to it again and like really focus on it. Yeah,
it was really cool. And once again, it's just interesting. I wonder how they got that name, Ugly Heroes, and then the fact that, like I said, when you look at the record cover, everything in between, and you got that silhouette, it's almost kind of ominous in a sense. It's
no. They said it was because when you think of heroes, you don't think of them being ugly. You think of them being like really good looking or really really traditional. I think was kind of what they were saying, and Ugly Heroes and everything in between was just to kind of show that there was something else. That there's kind of the other half to the story that's not really like glamorized. That's kind of what they pushed in this whole album. The theme was, there are real problems out here, and we're going to talk about them. So that's why they went with the Ugly Heroes.
Well, thank you for breaking it down, sir. Lieutenant Mariano coming through. And then when you listen to songs like Daisies off of this record, I mean, where it's contemplating, this track seems to contemplate life and making sure you do all the great things before your time comes. It's like Daisies to me is like facing your mortality, addressing it.
Uh-huh.
They say my life was never as complicated as I made it out to be. In fact, the answers were always right in front of my face, it seems. That every little thing that bothered me was truly little. I made them big deals, handled.
A true beginner. I like that.
Yeah. That's not to say I didn't problem solve. I'm just saying I wasted time. I wish I had back to spend with those I love.
Yeah. He said, what was it? He said, that's not to say I didn't problem solve. I'm just saying I wasted time I wish I had to spend with those I love is all. That like line, when I heard that, that's probably one of my favorite lines in the whole album, and it's so early in the album. And that one stuck with me for a while afterward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to focus on only the bad is counterproductive. I was a writer, businessman, father, and husband, a true Chicagoan. I feel proud saying this. It's very self-reflective. And, and not once, or I don't remember them even saying the word Daisies, but when I saw that name title, I'm like, okay, you're talking about when people are pushing up daisies when you're gone, you're long gone and dead, and it seems like this is about reflecting on what your life is and what it should be and how important it is to have your own legacy and to look at the future and, like you said, be positive,
Definitely. That's. I swear I heard someone that sounded just like Lupe on this, but I know one of these guys is from Chicago, so I think it was Red Pill.
Okay. Well, and it's very possible that Red Pill has that Lupe Fiasco influence. I wouldn't be surprised, From
Chicago too, Lupe.
Exactly.
And definitely. But man, whoever it was, if it was Lupe or not, this, wow. I don't know what else to say other than this is like one of the best albums I've ever heard of any genre.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, like I said, it's a great record. We recommend it strongly. We strongly recommend this record, and we both recommend ZHU, Generationwhy. That's a good album to have too. It's a lot of fun, and like you said, with that record, and with it being a trance music type of record and trance style music, it's about the feeling that it gives you, that feeling of elation and euphoria. There's some clever wordplay in there, too, about relationships as well. And it's done in such a way where you almost don't notice. But that's probably on purpose because, like you said, the music is so beat-driven, in a certain way that, they want to get you with that first and then have you think about and sit and marinate on the lyrics. Whereas I think Ugly Heroes, they're just giving it all to you at once, and it's just done seamlessly. And it's hard to make a rap album like this, a hip hop record, where the lyrics and the production are equally on par with each other. Wouldn't you say?
When they're both of this caliber, yes, because either one or the other tends to fall flat. But these guys carried the whole album. Like there wasn't one song that I thought. Like these lyrics are kind of. There was no like lull. Like it was all just go 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 of great music.
I agree. I highly agree and strongly agree. So this was a great podcast episode in that regard. I really enjoyed both these records, and ideally everyone listening will like them too. Pick them up, check them out. And Mariano, you can take us out there, sir.
You can find us, but before you find us, check them out because they are that good. But you can find us on gsmcpodcast.com, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and don't forget to like us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for listening.
Yes, we appreciate all of you. And I am Captain Keith.
I am Lieutenant Mariano, soon to be a colonel.
There you go. And we'll see you somewhere out in space.